Watkunuradu, and welcome to a political update on this beautiful fall day. Hope you're enjoying your fall season. We have some information to get for you folks, and we'll start off with the community meeting, a special community meeting on the issue of loose dogs. That was called in the aftermath of a young man being attacked by a pair of dogs in September. One of the actions taken by Chief and Council was a promise to meet face-to-face with the community so community members can have a say, maybe bring some suggestions, and just find ways to improve the situation. Another meeting coming up, oh, by the way, that date will be on Tuesday the 10th of October. It'll be at the Legion Hall. The meeting starts at 7 p.m. Once again, at the Legion, not at the usual location. Also, a special meeting on cannabis will be announced shortly. And that's another topic. As the Canadian government plans to legalize it everywhere, we have to deal with that as well, so the meeting will be announced early next week. Cancellation of the TransCanada Energy East pipeline is in the news. Joining us is the Environment Portfolio Chief Clinton Phillips. Clinton, I know you've been working on this file. Other files in terms of pipelines, the Line 9B was another one. This news came out, it was big news, headline news across the country. The Mayor of Montreal is pretty pleased, and here in Kahnawake, you're pretty pleased.
I'm extremely pleased. I don't think there could have been any other outcome for this issue. A lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of appearances at National Energy Board hearings, protests as well. I think finally, people in high places got it right.
Well, the NEB isn't the one who made the decision, but this time it was actually TransCanada who made the announcement. And, it looks like some of the politicians don't know where to go because they don't know who to blame. But it seems that really across the country, people have had their say. And it seems that there's a movement against pipelines. Why is that so?
Well, I think people are afraid. People see what's happening in the world, not just in Quebec or not just in Canada, but globally. You're hearing of terrorism happening. Just look at what happened in Las Vegas the other day. Today going to a concert or running a marathon can cost you your life. So people are really concerned. People are, being cognizant of what's happening in and around their communities and their cities, and people have had enough. I think fear always, is an emotion that people, it consumes people, and for the sake of corporate greed, if you will, for lack of a better word, at what point does government and regulating boards and corporations itself, currently right now they're saying that, I heard a news piece last night saying that, part of the reason, the rationale was because TransCanada is saying that there's too many layers on the onion now, and one of those layers being a consultation with First Nations people. So, nobody doubt for one moment that we did not play a major part in this whole issue. I would remind people to think of the
Standing Rock?
Thanks, Joe. Standing Rock, and also the alliance that we created when Grand Chief of KahnawakeTV, Serge Simon, started the alliance, and over 150 First Nations in Canada and the U.S. Signed on to it to band together to protect, and fight against pipelines and things that, could have a detrimental effect on our environment and our quality of life. So, again, I think the actions of many, including Mayor Coderre of Montreal, really played a big part in this. And, I think there's a lesson to be learned here for every First Nation that there is power in numbers. And the more we stick together, the more we band and have one common voice and one common concern, only good can come from it.
Well, and I mentioned Standing Rock because though it wasn't completely successful, the awareness that it created was beyond compare. Let's move on to something else. And I know people have been talking about the terrible story in Las Vegas this past weekend, where at this point 58 people have died. We were very concerned here in Kahnawake because there's a big gaming conference going on called G2E. And Grand Chief Norton was there. Gina Deer, who's the portfolio chief, was there as well. And Marie Marshall from the Gaming Commission, Mark Jocks, who is the KGC commissioner, was there, and also Lloyd Phillips was there. Lloyd, a good friend of yours and a colleague here at MCK. He was there on vacation.
Yeah, Lloyd and his wife Wendy were there celebrating an anniversary, and also their friends Kevin Zachary and his wife Lori celebrating the fact that Kevin just retired, officially retired from ironworking. So it was, I guess, quite a well-deserved and well-planned getaway celebration for almost a week. And I guess it just turned into something terrible. Luckily nothing happened to any Kahnawake, and we're very, very thankful for that and happy everybody's home safe and sound, or soon to be home safe and sound, because it could have been a heck of a lot worse. So, I know there was a lot of anticipation and people were very anxious for a while, not hearing from certain individuals, but everybody is accounted for, everybody's safe, and I guess our prayers and our thoughts go out to the victims of this senseless tragedy.
Yeah, and I guess the scariest part is actually Lloyd was in that same hotel where the gunman was.
Yeah, he was actually, him and his wife were spending a few hours at the Mandalay Bay, where the shooter was shooting from the 32nd floor, I believe, of the same hotel. So yeah, from what he had informed me, that everybody in the gaming floor was pushed to the backside, and I guess at that point it was like getting people out of the building and out of immediate danger. Yeah, right. So things could have been a lot worse, and thankfully everybody's well.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Clinton Phillips, who is our portfolio chief on environment and lands and lots of other stuff. I mentioned Gina Deere and gaming. There is, of course, the last couple of weeks, there was news on electronic gaming devices. MCK is looking at creating an agreement on this with a couple of gaming companies here in Kahnawake. A little bit controversial, of course, and Chief Deere will be at the services complex on Wednesday and Friday next week, and that'll be October 11th and 13th at the services complex. Stop by, you can have your say, have a discussion, and we'll see how this one plays out, but interesting developments there. And finally, on this update, we'd like to say Nyawakoa and bid adieu to a man who worked here at the MCK for many, many years. And Peter Stacey passed away recently, and he was one of those guys who was always there, especially when there were issues of water safety, like on a very, very cold day. He would always phone K103 and get the information for people to take care of their pipes so that their pipes wouldn't freeze. He was all over the place, and he was a friend to many, a colleague to many. He also worked at the filtration plant. Before that, he was in the Army, and just we're not going to see him around anymore. So we'd just like to say to his many friends, colleagues, and of course his family, thanks, Pete, and you take care. That's our update this time around. Take care of everyone, and we'll see you next time. Wanigiwai.